Welcome to the Lady Landlords Podcast, where we empower women to gain financial freedom through real estate investing. I'm your host, Becky Nova, founder of Lady Landlords. If you're ready to buy, manage, and grow your real estate investing portfolio, then let's get started. Welcome back to this week's episode of the Lady Landlords Podcast. I am your host, the founder of Lady Landlords, Becky Nova. And today we're going to be talking about a really exciting place in our lady landlording journey. And that is when we get to become landlords full-time and have the option to be able to leave our full-time employment. There were so many different things that we need to start thinking about and preparing ourselves mentally for to make that switch of what we are all hoping for, which is financial independence. Now, as a reminder, financial independence does not mean we have to leave our 9 to 5. That's okay if that's not a goal of yours. I know it is for many of our listeners, but we do not have to do those things. What really financial independence is all about is giving us the options of what we would like to have in our life and what we want to see moving forward. But we get a lot of questions about what that's like and what that jump looks like. So today I'm actually going to be answering your questions from the Lady Landlords Facebook group, all about what we need to do to mentally prepare ourselves for that leap. So our first question came in today from Neha. Neha is saying, for those that gave up their jobs to be a full-time landlord, what helped you make that decision? When did you feel like you could fully afford to not have to work at your day job full-time? So these are some of my favorite stories. I love hearing stories about when that person decided to make that switch. I'm going to tell you mine in a second. But what you want to start thinking about is, what is the income that you're going to need to replace in order to either lessen the amount of hours that you're working in your full-time job, or possibly change careers, or even leave your possible career. We need to really get at what our baseline expenses are. So it's really important, if you are not tracking what your finances are, you really should. It is so important to make sure that you understand what monies you're spending and what monies you're bringing in. I personally track every single penny that goes in and out of my household. I want to know where my money's being spent. I want to make sure that I understand how I'm spending my money and that those are things that really are bringing me joy. Or honestly, I'm probably going to cut them out, and that way I can save more to go buy more rental properties. But it's really important to get to that number of what you need in order to be able to make a change with the full-time work that you have. Sometimes that might be the same. Sometimes you're saying, hey, listen, I'm making 10K now. If I can make 10K, then I'd be perfectly happy to leave. Some people are going to say, hey, actually, I need more. I want to think about those benefits that my daytime job covers. Maybe medical care, maybe 401ks, maybe retirement plans, whatever that is. Maybe you're saying, well, my benefits are really 30% of my income. So I really need 14,000 because I'm making 10K months, but I need that extra 30% to make sure that I'm covering those benefits. Some of you might be saying, hey, listen, I hate this job. I do not want to do this anymore. I so want to be able to get out. I don't really need that much money to live on. I could really live on $7,500 a month. Okay. So that way you'll know what number you need to have coming in from your rental business in order to make that jump from full-time employee to full-time landlord. But without knowing those numbers of what you're actually spending, I would not recommend making that jump. All because you think that you can live off of $7,500. We want to make sure that you know you can live off of $7,500. So it's really important to make sure that you are tracking your spending. Use either a software program, or you can set up an Excel like I do to make sure that you are tracking where your money is going, so you can get very clear on what that financial independence number is going to be, so that way you can make that step too. When I was able to make that jump and made that change from saying, hey, I still need to be working back in cancer research, to where I can really kind of pick and choose what I want to do because I'm making enough money off of my real estate venture. What actually happened was, the company that I was working at that time, they were having layoffs. And my manager got us all together with our team, and there were about 7 of us on the team. And we all had staff that we were managing. And we had just gone through rounds of layoffs for our own staff. So I think my team got downsized by like 30%. It was a really big drastic change. And our manager came to us, the 7 of us, and said, hey, just so you guys are aware, we are having another round of layoffs. And every director has to remove one person from their team. So out of the 7 of you guys, one person is going to have to be laid off. And my team was like up in arms about it. There are people that were like, but wait, I have bills. The holidays are coming up, but how am I going to pay for my kids' schools? I mean, people were just like upset, crying, angry, sad. And we're just like, was the end of the world. And I get it. When you're in that position, when you're relying solely on that job and you're living paycheck to paycheck, totally understand why that's going to be a very, very scary idea. But as I'm watching everybody's reactions to this, I was just kind of sitting there and I loved what I do. But I was just sitting there being like, all these other people are freaking out. But honestly, I don't need this. This money from my day job wasn't really making a difference to me because I already had not only replaced my income, but it actually increased what I was making from my rental properties compared to my day job. So I was there because I felt that the world that I work in within the medical field was really fulfilling and really was something that I enjoyed doing. But seeing everybody else's reaction there, I was just like, I kind of want to save these people. One, I wish I could have saved them by being like, hey, there are other ways and other things that you need to do than just counting on the corporate America. But I realized I probably wasn't going to really get through to those people that way. So after thinking about it and discussing it with my husband, I actually asked my manager for a meeting and I volunteered to be the person to be laid off. I really just kind of said, hey, listen, I understand where everybody's stress is. I understand what that can be like. And honestly, I'm not in a need for this financially. So I'm happy to retire. And I remember she just laughed at me and she was just like, you're not even 40. What are you going to retire? And I was like, no, like I'm happy to retire. I'm ready to go live my life. I'm ready to see what else the world has to offer me. And that's honestly what I feel like too many people wait till they're 65, 70 to be able to be in that retirement place. And it was something that I was really grateful to be able to do in my 30s. But the way that you want to be able to get there is to really think through what that number is. We don't want to be retiring then having to go back to work. We don't want to be quitting jobs and then needing to go back. And listen, there's nothing wrong with that if you have to. And you're kind of saying like, wow, I thought I could live off this, but now I actually need more money. That's okay. But we want to make sure that with real estate, let's look at this from numbers. We should really be making data-driven decisions. I was able to make that decision because I knew what I was spending. I knew what I needed. I knew what my household needed to survive every single month. And I knew I was exceeding that. And I knew that I was going to continue to grow my real estate business from that. And I had my plan and strategy in place. So I knew that giving up that day job was not then going to impede on my growth on rentals either. So I've been able to add like another $5,000 to my rental properties every single month in profit, even after I left that. So you want to make sure you have that strategy really in place to continue to grow. So Nahad, that was a lot more information than you probably were looking for in your simple question, but data-driven decisions. Okay. That's what you want to look for. Make sure to know what you need to survive and then build your portfolio not only to that, but have your strategy in place so that way you can continue to grow beyond that number. Right. So, and Naya, if that's something that you need, that's actually support that we give through the Lady Landlords Inner Circle. So if that's something that you would like some help and support with, not only figuring out where that financial independence number is, but also what you can do to grow your portfolio after you leave your full-time, just reach out to me. You can either message me at becky@lady-landlords.com, or you can message me on Facebook or Instagram, and I'm happy to set up a time to talk with you to see what you need to do and if you're ready to make that switch from full-time employee to full-time entrepreneur. Now, next question that we have here is, Amka, for those that are having full-time jobs, what if maybe you're not completely ready to leave and make that jump? But she's asking, what is it like to maybe take a sabbatical? It sounds like she's a little bit burnt out and is just thinking about what she can do to be able to take a break. She says her real estate portfolio is just not ready to fully support her financially yet, but she knows that she can house hack and is able to live there for free, which removes really her biggest expense. So she's thinking about taking up some opportunities with either some side hustles, some gig work, and really trying to work out what that plan is going to look like. And Amka, I just want to say I really applaud you for thinking through what you can do. But when you're thinking about that sabbatical from work, you're thinking about this in the right way. Great. Totally get it. You need a break. You're not ready to make that full-time jump. I would still think about what that would look like and what you want to have as the outcome of that sabbatical, of that break from time. If you're sitting there being like, hey, I need to be able to figure out, I don't want to go back to this job. I need a break from it now, but I need to figure out where I can be able to bring in that money. you said you were making around 150K plus at that job, you might be able to say, hey, I need to use that time because I need to figure out my exit strategy from this job. Cool. I'm going to go get another W-2 for right now, making that type of salary. But you want to think about, what do you want to have happen after you take that break? Do you want to find another career path for a W-2? Do you want to figure out how you can move forward and grow your real estate portfolio? Do you want to find a completely different passion? You mentioned becoming an esthetician or getting a massage license. Is this something that we're really looking for, a large career change? You want to make sure that when you go on a sabbatical or you take a break, that you understand what you're going to be using that time for. If you were just saying, hey, I just need a break, I just need things to stop and slow down, that's fine. Maybe that's more of a vacation, or maybe that's part of your sabbatical. When people take sabbaticals or any type of break from work, I do really encourage them to take a little bit of time for yourself. We can't then just get up the next Monday morning at 8:30 thinking that we're going to be hopping in the car for a commute and now all of a sudden be like, well, I have to figure out the answer automatically. We need to give ourselves absolutely some space to be able to say, well, where do I want to go from here now? But I would encourage you to start thinking about, what do I want to have happen at the end of that sabbatical? Why do I need this sabbatical? And what is it something that I'm going to need an outcome for? And that will help, one, determine if you should take the break, if it should be a 6 month, a year, whatever your current employment allows and will be agreeable to. But we want to think about, what are we going to use that time for? What is that something that you want to make sure that you are getting out of this in that end goal? That's going to be really important. I also absolutely encourage, if you need that break, do it. Do it. We don't get back time in our lives. That's not something that we're able to do. So we really need to sit there and think about, what am I going to do to make sure that I feel the most fulfilled in a particular day? And those are the things that we should really be doing. If that job does not light you up, then yeah, make a change. I completely understand you have bills to pay. Once again, you said your biggest expense of having to live, you can do that for free through house hacking, which is fantastic. But I understand there's other bills, right? You have to pay medical insurance, you have to buy food, we need some type of entertainment. So I understand that you still have bills to pay, but what you can't get back is time. You can always make more money. You can always figure out what that place is going to look like. So really take some time, Alka, and think about all those pros and cons to some of those differences of what you're going to have to do. If now you're not making that high salary, but now you can actually enjoy your day to day a little bit better, you can actually spend time with family, friends, you're going to be able to move into something that is more of a passion for you. Well, that kind of sounds like it's going to have a lot more benefits than being stuck in that 9 to 5 kind of grind. And also, we have met, you are young. So I want to make sure that you're putting in those places now, that you're not waking up in 30 years being like, hey, I'm still at this dead end job. I'm still not fulfilled. And I'm still have not been able to make any other progress on my investments. So take some time to plan that out and make sure then that you are using that gift of a sabbatical to really the best of your abilities. All right. So hope that's going well. Let us know what you decide to do. I'm sure there's so many other people that would love to hear how you were able to structure that with your company to make sure that you can take the time that you need to plot out what the next chapter of your future looks like. Next question we have is from April, is asking, what would be the most crucial skills to acquire before becoming a multi-family property owner? All right. So April, there are quite a few things in here. One of the best skills that I think any type of real estate investor is going to need to have is to be a really good problem solver. If you like playing games, if you like being able to deal with strategy and like being able to always come up with a solution, real estate investing might just be for you. Between negotiations, deal finding, being able to figure out which way to strategize to be able to build your portfolio, being able to think through tenant situations, those things are all going to be incredibly important. The problem solving is really going to be the number one skill that I feel like you need to have to be able to become a good multifamily property owner. After that, you want to improve some of your math skills. We need to be really good at deal analysis to make sure that we are buying the right properties and setting ourselves up for success at the very beginning. So you don't have to necessarily have your master's degree here in mathematics, but really understanding math and really understanding your basic concepts and a lot of your acronyms that are going to be associated with your deal analysis is going to be important, because we need to make sure that we are buying the right properties to sit out with. Then, April, the last skill that I'm going to give you, especially since you mentioned multi-family property owners, is then also to make sure that you have really good negotiation skills. when you're dealing with multiple tenants in the same building, there are going to be situations that are going to come up, not only with people's specific units, but also probably between them as well. So it can be very important to make sure that you understand how to combine the problem solving skills that you need to make sure you can come up with a solution that's going to be great for your tenants, but also how to make sure that you can make all of your tenants happy and not just the one that barks the loudest. Okay. Actually, April, we have another question from you. So I'm going to answer that one here back to back for you. April is saying she is 40, a working professional, divorcing, and has 2 kids. She really wants to get into that multifamily space and she wants to be able to live in it. That's called house hacking. If we're not familiar with that, when you have a multifamily property and you live in one side, rent out the other, that is house hacking. You can also purchase a single family house that has multiple bedrooms, live in one, rent out the other. That also can count as house hacking. But she says she's wanting to rent the rest to likable people. Always a good idea. She says she has no experience with this and still works full time. She says, is this a recipe for disaster? And do I have to be a millionaire to do this? And the answer to both of those is no. The situation you're describing, working full time, having kids, having a life, having a family, all those things is what out of the 40,000 members in Lady Landlords, every single one of us is dealing with. Those are all things that we have. So it is not a recipe for disaster, but we need to make sure to still think this through and work through a strategy and a plan and how we're going to do this and where we're going to fit this in with our lives. Real estate investing really can be that side hustle, that thing that we start on the side of our full-time job and our full-time family to really make sure that we can start to grow that income. And then if we choose to make a switch and the balance of are we spending more time in our work life or are we spending more time in our landlording life? A lot of us are really looking to spend more time in that landlording life and then a lot less time in our working life. So April, that's absolutely something that you can do. You need to be very realistic in what you're looking to accomplish and what you're willing to take on. Between divorcing, 2 kids, and a full-time job, everybody's going to have a different amount of time that they feel that they can put into their real estate portfolio. So be very clear with yourself up front and have a very stern talk about what you can do. Do not overcommit yourself, but those little changes, that little effort, those little consistencies that you put in will absolutely lead up to huge results. Okay. Your second question within this post was saying, do I need to be a millionaire to do this? And the answer to that is no. Same thing out of the 40,000 women in Lady Landlord, there's probably a handful that are millionaires coming into real estate investing. Okay. So no, you absolutely do not. Does having money saved make your life so much easier as a real estate investor? Yes. If you are coming into real estate investing and you have no money and no experience, you're really going to have a hard go at it. Is it impossible? No. But honestly, when I see a whole bunch of Instagram posts and all these other real estate gurus out there being like, hey, become a millionaire in real estate overnight with no experience and no money. I mean, I'm sorry, but they're really kind of lying to you. You do need some funds to get started. Okay. That's going to at least get that ball rolling. There are absolutely creative ways once you get that experience, then you will be able to continue to keep that ball rolling and grow your portfolio without a huge chunk of change behind you. But you really need some experience to make those opportunities and creative financing really work for you. And I'm telling you that because I want to set you up for success and not have people coming to this and then have it be a complete disaster. So no, you do not need to be a millionaire to get into this, but you have to have some savings, you have to have some time, and you have to have the want to really do this. April, it sounds like you were a great candidate for the Lady Landlords mentorship program. So same thing as I offered earlier in this call. If you have any interest in having a chat to see if you are a fit, we can really help you to make sure that you're not making mistakes, that you're not wasting your time, you're not wasting your hard-earned money going to the wrong places. So feel free to reach out to me. Like I said, you can reach out to me on Facebook or you can email me at becky@lady-landlords.com if you would like. And we can really talk about what you need to do to make sure that you are making safe, smart decisions with how to get started in your real estate investing portfolio. Okay. So thank you very much for all of you writing in your questions. Keep writing in your questions. I will make sure to be answering them live here on our Q&A podcast episodes. But I hope that helps you start to think about what you need to do to get your mindset prepped to become the landlord that you're hoping to be and to become financially free that you are working towards. So thank you for joining me today. Do make sure to hit that subscribe button so you do not miss the next episode of the Lady Landlord Podcast. We release new episodes every single Tuesday. Also, if you enjoyed today's episode, please do make sure to leave us a 5-star review so that way other women will be able to also find the Lady Landlords Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you all back in the Lady Landlords Facebook group. Thank you for listening to the Lady Landlords Podcast. If you're feeling stuck in your real estate investing journey, visit lady-landlord.com to book a 15-minute orientation call with me and see if you're ready to join our mentorship program. Or you can subscribe to our newsletter and join our Facebook group for exclusive real estate investing tips and offers. Invest with confidence. Become a Lady Landlord today.